Welcome to Arts Roll Call, a podcast showcasing artists and arts organizations highlighting the role of the arts today in Greater Lansing. I'm Robin Miner-Swartz. I'm an editor, communications consultant, and lifelong arts advocate. And today I'm talking with Brian Whitfield, a Lansing artist who has been a graphic designer for the Michigan Department of Transportation for 24 years. Brian is an illustrator, a painter, and a graphic artist who, among many other accomplishments, has designed the Ingham County flag and an award-winning Michigan license plate. He's created murals throughout Lansing, including the Under the Bridge Mural project, and he's had numerous entries in Grand Rapids Art Prize, including this year's competition, where he received the Art Prize Contemporary Black Art Award for his mural, Planted by the Sacred Streams of Grace. If you're living in the Lansing area, chances are quite good you've seen his work. Brian, welcome to Arts Roll Call. Good to have you here.
Hey, how you doing, Robin?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Good. Well, you've been creating murals all over our region for years, and I know at least one of them involved working with the Arts Council of Greater Lansing. So let's start there. Tell us about that project and how you got involved with the Arts Council.
Well, I was involved with the Arts Council, a lot before that, and but I saw an RFP, request for proposal, and I thought, I helped with other murals. I've done a little bit on like 2 or 3 other murals. And I said, let me go for this. Now, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So we met with Debbie McCullough at Staples, actually.
Oh, wow.
On a rainy day. And we were going to take a bus tour down Michigan Avenue, and it ended up just talking with a couple of other artists. Then later, we met with a larger group of artists, and I submitted my proposal and got that job. And and then I had to look at it, and there was 4 gigantic slabs of cement, and I said, "Oh my goodness, what did I get myself into?"
Right. Well, you've been creating rather large-scale art for quite some time. How do you become a muralist? I mean, are you painting on the walls at home growing up, or what does that look like?
I fell into becoming a muralist. When I was in graduate school, I said to everybody, I said, I'm not painting big. There's no way I'm going to paint big, because everybody's painting big out east, and they were just the larger you could go, but it was gallery type work.
Mm-hmm.
I just like my little size, my body size, So I did that for many years, and then like I say, I helped on a few other murals, and I kind of got the little bug, and once I got that Under the Bridge project, it was in me. And I haven't looked back since. Yeah.
Well, muralist doesn't feel like it's a common credential in the art world. What was it like for you working with other muralists when you participated in Jackson's Bright Walls Mural Festival?
That was great. The festival was fantastic. I worked with Say Adams, and he was a fantastic muralist who came back from the old school. He did album covers for the Beastie Boys and the beginnings of hip hop. So he was the graphic artist for hip hop. So I was kind of in awe of him. And he produces these love murals around the country. And so I just worked with him, and he was great to work with. He allowed me to do some things and paint a little bit and tape up some walls. And I met a lot of artists who actually I'm friends with now, from all over the world. So, and it was a learning experience. It was kind of my introduction and learning what it is to be a muralist.
So, well, that's a great pivot. What is the process that you go through when you're creating a mural?
Well, start off with the idea, of course. And then for me, I haven't quite transitioned to calling myself a real muralist. I just do like gigantic paintings. And so I kind of make my murals a little more complicated than they probably should be. And so I start off with the sketch. And then after I get the sketch approved, I end up starting the mural, and I like to lay down a lot of color when I begin. I like painting on top of color. And
Mhm.
so I lay down a ground of color, and then I transfer that small sketch to I project it on the wall, um, and just trace it out and then begin painting. Yeah.
Because it sounds like, I mean, it's not just a matter of, oh, I used to draw small things, now I draw giant things. It sounds like it's a very, it's a thoughtful
Yeah.
transition into that.
Yeah. Well, because because I'm transferring it, I'm sketching it out, I'm projecting on the wall. I feel that it really is a process of kind of how do you actually apply the paint to the wall like your design. And I'm still learning that process. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. A lot of artists use spray cans, spray paint, and they
Mhm.
spray their walls. That's a lot quicker. I haven't really tried that. I'm more like I say, painting using a
Mhm.
brush still. Um, so it's kind of tough for me because I still paint on a large wall. So I spend lot more time than other muralists do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that process, first of all, congratulations on your success at Art Prize this year.
Thank you.
How did you get connected with the Monroe Street Church and get to use them as your canvas for that award-winning mural?
Well, when I started Art Prize in 2009, Monroe actually picked me to be in their church.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so I've had a long time relationship with them. I've shown there about 6 or 7 times each year, and there was times where I didn't even have a piece, and they said, "Okay, you can just whatever you bring, we'll just put it on the wall."
Nice.
So I really got a close relationship with the people there, great people, and so they asked me to paint a mural um, just as a commission. And what ended up happening was it was during Art Prize, and so they said, "Well, let's put this in the Art Prize." I said, "Okay," and that's how it all began.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, back here in Lansing, your pieces Under the Bridge at the venue and your newest work at Allen Neighborhood Center, they all tell stories about community. Why are murals important in building community?
Oh, I found that painting these murals, especially the public art, being in the public, doing, with the process of painting, people really come together. They love to see that. And especially my paintings tend to be happy paintings. And so they love the colors. And I think because my subject matter and the commissions that I've gotten, they were about the community, about the space that we're in, like the East Side or Lansing. Um, the people really appreciate seeing, a vision depicted of where they live, especially the bright colors. And so I think it just brings together the community. I can't tell you how many people like honk their horns or wave and say, "I like those pretty colors." And I think there's a collective, at least for me, there's been a collective of community, and a lot of people say, I thank you for making my city beautiful, and I appreciate that.
Oh, what a great compliment.
Yeah, yeah, and so people are really connected to Lansing and the community, Greater Lansing, and I think they like to see it depicted on spaces like walls.
Nice. Well, what future visions do you have for your artwork in the region? What would you like to see happen with the art scene in Greater Lansing in the coming years, whether through murals or through any kind of art?
Oh, great art scene in Lansing. I think it's going to grow, especially with some projects coming up. I think it's just going to kind of expand. It's already kind of happening now. Um, Artists are coming together a little bit more than they used to. Um, and there are more festivals, more murals popping up, you know. Um, and so some of the big festivals like the East Lansing Art Festival and Arts Night Out in Old Town, those type of things. And then Real Town has their own kind of artsy things going on. I think it's just going to keep growing and expanding, and artists are going to kind of come together, especially with some of the new projects that are going to bring artists together. But
Mhm.
what I like to do is I have a vision of painting a mural of one of our loved citizens, former citizens, Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
That's kind of a goal of mine someday to do a large mural of him, just because there's really nothing in Lansing that depicts what he has brought to this Greater Lansing community.
That's a great point.
Yeah, there's a statue at Michigan State, but that's really about it when you think
Hmm.
about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. It feels like it would be something great to have visible in the neighborhood he grew up in or near his
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, do you have a favorite of all the murals you've created?
wow.
Or is it always like the one you're working on right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one in Grand Rapids, I really liked that one. That was a struggle. We really worked at the idea and
Mhm.
putting the idea. And so it all came together slowly, piece by piece, it came together. And as I was painting it, I was struggling with it. I wasn't liking parts of it, but it slowly, built up, and I really kind of have a strong feeling for that piece. Um, the other mural is actually the one I'm painting now, in Allen's neighborhood center. I'm really liking that one. I'm struggling with that one also. I haven't quite painted the mural that I really want to paint. I'm still learning the
Mhm.
process and learning how to, be a large scale artist. Um, maybe I will mix spray paint and latex paint together. That
Mhm.
might be my progression. But right now I'm just struggling with learning that process. Yeah.
Well, what advice would you have for an artist who's thinking about venturing into that space?
Um, get together with go to some of these festivals, get together with some of these other muralists, and see what they're doing, kind of learn from them. um, when I went to the festivals, I talked to some of the muralists, and they gave me some tips about how to do a scribble grid. I used to do grids, but now I'm considering doing scribble grids. um,
What is a scribble
Scribble
grid?
grid is when you just scribble a bunch of stuff on the wall, and you use that as your connection points for your drawings.
Okay.
So you sketch it out using whatever you scribble on the wall. It's kind of like you see the regular rectangle or square grid, and you use the square as your points. Well, scribble grid is actually more accurate because you're just scribbling happy faces, words, numbers all over the wall. Yeah.
Oh,
So
neat.
I think talking to other artists and seeing what their process, and they're really open to letting you know what they do. I've had a close relationship with an artist in Australia, and I asked her what kind of brush she used, and she was sending me all kinds of information about her brushes and what works best for her, and I really appreciated that. So yeah.
That's cool. Well, we talked a lot about your mural work, but that's definitely not all you do or have done. I'm interested to hear a little bit about some of your other artistic passions. Where else? I mean, you're obviously not going to be working on murals 24/7. What else do you really love to create? What other types of media and art forms really speak to you?
Ooh, I just haven't had the time to do what I really envisioned myself when I early on as an artist. I thought I was going to do everything. I like sculpture. I like clay sculpture. I would like to get into maybe a little bit metal work, but I'm not sure if I will end up doing that. Um, when I retire one day from my regular job, maybe I can get more into some of that stuff. But what's interesting for me is when you talk about creative work, um, music actually is my inspiration. Listening to music and sometimes the spoken word or songs, it helps inspire me. So when I think about creativity, I like what happens in music, and then I try to translate some of that into a picture or an image. Yeah.
That's
So
nice. Well, and even your day job is creative, right? You're
yeah,
you're you're creating and designing things is almost in every facet of your life, it seems like.
yeah, and I feel really blessed that I have a career as an artist. I
Mhm.
started off and went to school, and I've continued that. I didn't, and it's funny is same as mural painting. I didn't have a graphic arts degree. I knew how to do it, but I I got a job as a graphic artist, and I didn't even know how to turn a computer on when I
Oh,
started.
gosh.
But because I was creative and because I knew how to draw, that helped me translate my knowledge back into the computer, and yeah, I've been doing that for 26 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, Brian, where can people find you and your artwork online?
Well, on Facebook and Instagram, it's Whitfield Studios. Um, and I have a lot of my old pieces, a lot of my new pieces, a lot of the murals, and one day I'm going to have a website. And what I think I want to do with the website is show some of the process, some of the, you know, um, pictures of how I start off, and where pictures at the beginning, from the really raggedy sketches to a more detailed sketch to the painting. That's what I would like to I think people would be interested seeing that progression.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I was looking at the photos on the Art Prize website of your mural, and there were a couple of you in process there. And even just those two glimpses at it, I thought were really fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like that one, when I painted the wall, just to put, like I said, I like to put color on the wall. And when I painted the wall, it looks very different than the final piece, but it gets me going. And sometimes some of that color shows through at the final product.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, we're looking forward to seeing the end result of your work at the Allen Neighborhood Center. And thanks so much for spending the time to chat with me today and to let folks know about this cool work that you're doing, that we're driving past and seeing. And I'm sure plenty of people are wondering who made that. And they're just beautiful. We're really fortunate to have you in our community. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you drive by, honk your horn or wave at me, or feel free to stop by and say hey.
I love that. Great. Well, thank you, Brian.
All right. Thank you.
This podcast has been a production of the Arts Council of Greater Lansing. To learn more about them, go to lansingarts.org.